Hello, friends, and welcome to Pathologic Volume 5, Episode 7. Today's puzzle is called a Gemini Loop, and this needs a little bit of interface discussion before we dive in, especially for people who like to solve on their own before watching my solve. The interface uses PenPa and has some helper segments at the bottom for you to make some notes in for yourself. Feel free to use those, but they do need to be empty for the answer check itself to work. So that's just a little heads up for people who are going to be solving on their own. But if you would like to just follow along with me, let's do that together after we take a look at the rules. In a Gemini Loop puzzle, we will draw a non-intersecting loop through the centers of all cells. That is exactly the same rule set we have on a simple loop puzzle, and as you can see in the solution, we are traveling horizontally and vertically throughout the grid, and the loop does in fact touch every cell in the grid. Cells containing the same letter must be entered by the loop from the same directions. Cells containing different letters must not. In other words, each letter corresponds to a unique shape. So I read these three together because they kind of go hand in hand. So if we take a look at, for example, the A in the grid, the path enters from the left and from the west and the south. It goes west and south from the A, and it goes west and south from this A. And no other letters go west and south. B goes north and east. In every instance, nothing else goes north and east, and so on. Those are the rules of Gemini Loop, so it's time to solve a puzzle. Today's Gemini Loop puzzle was set by Freddie Hand. As I noted in the intro, we'll be using these helper cells at the bottom to note which disposition each of the clues has, and we'll have to erase those at the end. So we are starting right out by looking at the cells, I think, on the edges of the grid, because those are going to be fairly constrained. And I'm just going to mark those down here. D does not go west. A does not go north. E does not go north. F does not go east. B and A do not go south. So that's actually enough to tell us what is happening in A cells immediately. A goes straight through horizontally. And we can mark that in the grid. All of the A's go horizontally. So none of the other ones are perfectly defined by that, but that is a big start. Let's also write in the thing that we would do in a simple loop puzzle, which is the corners, because corners only have one way in and one way out. So we can mark that on all of them. Now that's telling me something with respect to B, because we have a line coming in from the east. So that means that must be the true for all of the B's. Also, I know that B does not have the same makeup as an A, so it does not go straight through, which means it must turn like so. So I can do that to the B's in the grid. We can use some simple loop logic to say we got a little tunnel here that, that we have to go straight through. And we have some loops that can't close early. This has got to continue. This has got to continue like that. Now let's look at what other deductions we can make. Oh, there's another tunnel right here that I can also mark in that we have to go straight through. And now a corner that we can mark up. Another corner here we have to finish. And a corner right here that we can mark. And that's going to tell us stuff about F or C. Before I do that, though, let's look at the other logic that we could perform based on what we know about these two letters. We know that none of these go straight through left to right, so that is going to tell me something about E. that E does not go straight through. So it's going to bend one way or the other. Either way, it's going to do that. And D is not the same as B. So it must include this leg and then either turn or go straight north. Okay, so back to what I was doing. So I penciled this in. So that's going to tell us about F. Definitely goes south. And C definitely goes west. So let's fill in C, D, E, F. We have information on all of them. Let's do the C's. They do that. The D's all go down. The E's all go down. And the F's all go down. Okay. We've got 3 directions, D, E, and F. All right, so we have all 3 types of turns or types of cell dispositions accounted for that have a down segment, have a south segment. So that means A, B, and C do not have a south segment. And we know C doesn't go straight through. So C is the backwards L here. And we can do that in the grid in both cases. That will now give us that this is a tunnel that we have to go straight through. It'll give us that this is a corner and a tunnel here. This is a corner here, which tells us how D works. D is a straight vertical. So we can do that over here. This is a corner. This one's a corner. This has to turn out of those corners, and that tells us how E works, although we could have gotten that also, I think, from looking down here, because we've already done our vertical, so F can't be vertical, it's got to go left, so E's got to go right. So actually that is another way that we could do to know how E goes, and therefore how all the F's work. So we've taken care of all of the patterns and all the letters in the grid, so all that's left is to finish the loop puzzle. So don't close the loop early there. We've got a corner, another corner. This is in a tunnel, needs to keep going. We don't want to close the loop early, so these will continue east. And we have finished the puzzle, and as I mentioned up front, in order for answer check to work, we need to have extra loop segments not in the grid. These are actually technically part of the grid. It's just a little helper. So let's erase those to get them out of the way. And that is how we solve a Gemini loop.